Hello everyone, my name is Morgan, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Photoshop document much like this one. To start, first you need to make a new document. You can name it Computer Background. Change the width to 1920 pixels and the height to 1080. Keep the resolution at 72. Once you have this, you can go File, Place, and select the Paper to JPEG. Once you have that, you can rotate it, move it to the top left corner, and resize it so that it fills the entire canvas. Once you have that, you can press Enter, and right-click it in the Layers panel and rasterize it. After that, you can go New Layer, select your brush tool, and select a fairly large brush with 0 hardness. Select a color, any color will do, and start painting on the right hand side. Just random splotches anywhere you want, really. After that, you can pick another color and keep doing the same thing. Just random splotches anywhere you like. You can do this with as many colors as you want. I'm just going to do a couple more here. Once you have that, you can go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and change the radius to 250 pixels. And you should get something that looks like that. Now, if you go to the right hand side, to the drop down, change the blending mode to hard light, and then lower the opacity to 60. And that's basically the background that you're going to be using for this. So after that, you can make some borders. So select the rectangle tool with the shape layer and make the color black. Draw out a rectangle and edit free transform path. This will let you modify the shape of it. So move it to the top and resize it so that it fits. You can make it a bit skinnier too. Make another rectangle. This time move it to the bottom and resize it again. Once you have that, you can make a third one. Move it to the bottom once again, resize it, and then double click the black and change it to, let's say, a dark red. And that's the basic border of this document. Once you have those, you can select them all by shift clicking and press Ctrl G to group them. You can rename it Borders and make sure this layer or this group is always at the top. You can rename the other two just to make it easier to find. So now we're placing in a second image of the gramophone. Resize this so that it fits basically between the two borders. You can make it as big as you want, really, but I like it so that it fits in between. Once you have that, you can press OK, move it above the color layer, and rasterize it. Now select your magic wand tool and select the white background and press delete. and that'll get rid of the background. You can also get rid of that middle bit. Once you have that, you can go to Filter, Artistic, and then Cutout. In the options box that pops up, you can change the levels to 3, the simplicity to 5, and the fidelity to 3. And click OK, and you should get something like that. So you have that, you can right click it and open the blending options. And click on the gradient overlay. Change the gradient style to the default rainbow one. You can change the angle to 144 degrees. And if you accidentally open it, you can just, or close it, you can right click it and open it again. And change the opacity to about 13 or so. And click OK or press Enter. Now you can change the blending style to multiply, and you should have something like that. Make a new layer below the gramophone layer. You go to your brush tool and select one of the splatter brushes from the palette. Resize it so it's a fairly decent size, and with black, just put in. Using Control T, you can rotate it and resize it again, and just reposition it so that it's kind of connected to the gramophone. You can do this a couple more times with different brushes, just resizing them and making sure they're on their own layers. Control T again to transform them. Move it over and then connect it to the gramophone. Right there is about good. Making sure they're on their own layers. So you can resize that again and move it over. And that should be good. So once you have all those, you can shift click them to select them all and select merge layers. And that'll make them all into one layer. So once you have that, select the styles from the gramophone and alt drag them onto that new layer. That'll apply that rainbow gradient that's on the gramophone. Once you have that, you can add a layer mask, and with a soft round brush you can, and painting with black, you can also lower the opacity of the brush a little bit. That's about 68%. You can start brushing in and removing bits and pieces of the of the splatter. So I'm just going through and making it look like it's merged a bit more. If you take away too much, you can switch to white and paint it back in. So once you're happy with that, you can do the same sort of thing, but this time with the gramophone layer, making sure you have black. And I'm just trying to get rid of some of these hard edges, so it looks like it's kind of leaking into the splatter. Again, you can switch to white to bring back areas that you don't like. Once you have that, you can make a new layer, this time above the gramophone layer, and select one of the watercolor brushes. If you don't have the proper brushes loaded, you can do that then. So again, you can resize it, make sure the opacity is back up to 100%, and put a brush stroke down. With Control T, you can rotate it, and by right-clicking, you can change the horizontal and vertical alignments of it, and position it so that it's kind of coming out of the gramophone. You can put another stroke in there and rotate it. And position it near the other one. You can resize them to make them bigger or smaller depending on how you want the shape to look like. Just putting another one down here. Moving it over. And I'm trying to get them to all match up so they look like they're coming from one source. Once you have that, you can change the blending mode to soft light on all three of them, or however many you have. And once you have all those, you can shift click to select them all, right click, and duplicate layers. Make sure it's on the same document as the one you're working on. And that'll just make them stand out a bit more. You can reposition them however you like. Once you have that, you can click the little folder at the bottom, and that'll make a group, and you can drag into the folder and rename it swirls. If you go layer, layer mask, and reveal all, it'll make a layer mask for the group. Select the default black to white gradient, and kind of put it so that it fades it out just near the tip there, just a little bit. And you can reposition it again if you'd like. Once you have that, select your brush again, but this time select one of the paint stroke brushes. Size it down a bit. Oh, for these ones you have to make them a color. Any color really doesn't matter. Once you have one, you can keep adding different colors with different brush strokes to get different patterns and whatnot. I'm going to pick a nice blue for this next one. And I'll make a green one. So you have that, Control T, and you can rotate them and position them. Same kind of idea as with the swirl brushes. You want to make them look like they're coming out of the gramophone. So just reposition those however you like. Once you have those, you can right click them and merge them down to one layer. And change the blending mode to multiply. You can rename this layer to paint. So now putting in another image of the heart PNG. Resize it so that's a little bit bigger. And press enter. Rename it heart, and you can right click it and rasterize it again. With your magic wand tool, select the red inside, copy it, delete the old heart layer and paste the new red one. So once you have that, you can duplicate it. You have to do this 4 times. You can also press Ctrl-J on the keyboard to do this. And once you have all four, you can rename them, just so you know which one's which. So I called mine smallest, smaller. Bigger, and then biggest. Once you have those, you can press Ctrl-T, resize them down. And you kind of want to resize them so it goes from small to large, going right to left. You can also rotate them while you're resizing them, just to give a bit of variance to it. So once you're happy with that, you can shift click and select them all and merge them down again to a single layer. Open up the blending options and check on inner shadow. You can change the distance to 15, the choke stays at 0, and then you can also change the angle to about 140, around there, or 150, making sure the global light is on, and then reduce size down just to 3 pixels instead of 5. Once you have that, you can click OK, and you'll get that inner shadow on the hearts. Now placing in the paper texture, you can resize this to make sure it covers the all 4 of the hearts so that you can't see any. Right click it and rasterize it. Right click the layer again and go create clipping mask. That'll make a clipping mask and make it so you can only see the paper texture where the hearts are. Next, with the paper texture layer selected, you can go image, adjustments, levels, and you can bring the black and whites just a little bit closer to each other, just to create a bit more contrast. And then image, adjustments, hue and saturation, and drop the saturation slider to -100. This will make the image black and white. Once you have that, you can change the blending style to linear burn and drop the opacity down a little bit. And you can make some final adjustments, resizing things, moving things around. And that's pretty much it. That's all the components to making a Photoshop document like this. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.